I am seeing a growing and justified, or understandable at least, trend of anger toward tech reviewers for being able to get access to this technology that consumers are struggling to get their hands on especially at a somewhat reasonable price. I think we can all agree that one component of a gaming computer is not reasonably priced at the entire cost of a sick top-of-the-line gaming setup just a couple short years ago. Yeah. I think we can probably all agree on that.
Yeah.
Now, there's always been kind of some of this that we've seen, whether it's, in the comments or live streams or, whatever, right? But what I've noticed is that this perception seems to be getting worse for a number of reasons that I think may make it difficult for us to make videos going forward. Reason number one, economic challenges in the tech and gaming industry. Layoffs, and a big pendulum swing towards a buyer's market for tech companies in their HR endeavors. I think we could agree that...
Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, I think 3 years ago, it was a seller's market. If I was a potential prospective employee or a recent graduate, I was basically...
Getting scooped up.
Putting resumes out there, if I even got a chance to put resumes out there, and I would just have an offer when it came to tech. Now, it's the other way around. I think that the tech companies are able to be choosy, and they're absolutely thinning the herd. Luke talked about this, I think, on the pre-show, where like the RTO, the return to office mandates, seem to be, in some cases, very obviously nothing to do with actually wanting everybody in the office, and everything to do with thinning the herd.
Hoping you'll take a layoff without severance.
Yes. Factor number two, economic challenges more broadly. Everything is expensive, especially food, which, pun intended, eats into the disposable income that we have to spend on
ding, ding, ding.
Nice-to-haves like GPUs. Factor number three, ever-shrinking incentives to allocate manufacturing capacity to low-margin gaming products. And this is exactly what Luke was talking about during the 50 series thing. For every wafer, NVIDIA can choose to build AI chips for customers and media who love them at monstrous margins that delight their shareholders, or they can choose to build gaming chips for customers and media who generally kind of hate them at margins that drag down their books. Factor four, closely related, the ever-growing prices of consumer GPUs. And so here, I've got a note to talk about how Plouffe has been following the pricing of the 4090 particularly closely. As you guys are going to see in the 8K gaming drag race, where we game at 8K on a 4090.
His, right?
It is actually his.
Yeah.
We had to pull his from his system. He graciously brought it into work that day, asked me to be very, very careful with it as I was installing it and uninstalling. I'm like, Plouffe, I'm good for it. He's like, dude, it's not a question of that. It's a question of whether you'd even be able to buy me a new one, whether you'd even be able to get one. And it's a great point. Anyway, the point is he graciously brought in his 4090 so that we could compare it directly to the 5090. And so he's been paying very close attention, because if he's going to buy a 5090, like he had said he was going to, he would be selling his 4090. So keeping track of 4090 pricing tells him how much he's going to have to put towards his 5090. Yeah. And this is crazy. Okay, so he added this to the doc here. But he was telling me earlier in the week, man, or not earlier in the week, it must have been last week when we were shooting the first one, the 8K gaming video. He's like, dude, 4090s are still going for like 2K Canadian. That's like only a couple $100 less than what I paid. Get this. When we were shooting the 4K gaming video, the 4K high refresh rate gaming video earlier this week, he goes, Linus, you're not going to believe this. 4090s are now going for about 200 Canadian more than what I paid. I could have used this GPU that I bought brand new 2 years ago for 2 years, and I could sell it today
and make money
for a couple $100 more than what I paid. Then get this. He just posted this update in the doc. I just checked. They're going for like 3K plus CAD on eBay now.
Well, people look at the benchmarks and they go like,
oh, 4090 looks pretty good.
Yeah, maybe I'll just get that.
So all these factors together affect a channel like ours in multiple ways. I've seen a clear trend of disengagement with content that features, shit I can't afford, right? And I've seen people lament the old days when the channel was focused on stuff that regular people can own instead of just like millionaire shit. But hear me out. Hear me out for a second. Maybe LTT was always unhinged, expensive stuff.
Before you even jump into that, I want to give an example. The first real project I worked on with you was something I had never done before because I couldn't afford it.
Oh, the water cooling guide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Water cooling has always been expensive, especially back then. It was even worse.
Goes back farther than that. The second video, that is what at the time was the most expensive motherboard on the market with 3 top spec GPUs on it. And why did I put them on there? I don't know. Let's see if they fit.
Yeah.
Actually, they weren't all top spec. This was actually 3 different generations because I just thought it was funny. Let's go a little farther. Oh, 3D vision, because that wasn't a, unhinged, ridiculous accessory for 1%ers. What else we got here? We got a bunch of motherboards because I was in a motherboard mood that day. Here's a bunch more motherboards. Oh, I don't know. Here's my personal rig, just casually looking a little something like that. Like, it was always aspirational. If we go a little farther, we're going to find like an extreme edition CPU. I think there it is. Here's $1,000 CPU. Let's crack the seal, boys. It was always aspirational. It was always like, oh man, what would it be like, when the price comes down and I could have one of those? So why does it bother people now? Well, I think there's a few factors. I think the perception of me has changed. I haven't really talked to you about this, but I think it's safe to say now that I regret disclosing the value of the offer for our company. I believe in transparency with the audience, and in some ways, I'm as parasocial as any of you guys are. I like talking about what's going on, what's going on around here. But it does feel like there was a significant turning point in perception toward me personally and toward our brand that Linus changed, that LTT changed. Once, I spelled it out for you guys that running a media company with 100 plus people means I probably have means beyond the 99%. In the current climate, I think that almost certainly contributes to some of the anger and frustration that's targeted at me, even though, guys, I'm a small fish. I do not control the price of eggs. I still exchange my labor for money. I don't just get to exercise my capital for profit. And I also don't think that's all of it anyway. I think a bigger piece is growing apathy toward tech in general. What is the point of watching a video about the latest thing if it will literally never come down in price? The fact that Plouffe's 4090 is worth today more than it was worth 2 years ago. Why should I care? Why should I bother caring about any of this then? And I think another big factor is people just have other stuff on their mind. They just don't have the bandwidth. It's like, it used to be that the point of learning about DDR8 or whatever was that someday my earning power will grow and the cost of DDR8 will go down. And those lines are going to intersect, and I'm going to enjoy all that juicy tech goodness at some point. But wages are stagnating. Hardworking people are being cut from their roles at companies that are turning around and announcing record profits, all while, AMD just forgets that Ryzen 3 exists. And NVIDIA launches new GPUs that are so expensive, the old ones keep their retail value. I can see why it feels pointless.
I'm going to jump in for a sec again, just to bolster that, the whole forgets Ryzen 3 exists thing. For a long time, not only was the 60 card the one that everybody bought, but it felt like there was also a lot more emphasis on it. Felt like it mattered more.
Where's the 50 desktop card?
Yeah, seriously. They in general, they cared about the lower end a lot more. And I think that is somewhat reflected in this 5000 series launch. I've been out of it for a while, but everyone seems really interested in the 90 series. If I'm thinking way back, 500 series, 400 series, 700 series even, the 780 was really cool.
Yeah.
But, people really talked about the 760.
The 8800 GTS was sick. And if you were a baller, you could get 2 of those in SLI, and it was actually better bang for the buck than a single GTX. There was value to be had.
The GTS
down the stack
was what people really cared about.
Yep.
GTX was cool to see, but the GTS was what people really cared about.
Yep.
And that doesn't feel like the communication sentiment that I'm seeing these days. I'm not seeing a bunch of people being oh, yeah, it was a cool video or whatever, but I don't care about the 5090. I'm looking for the 5060. I genuinely don't think I've seen any of those comments. And you used to see that all the time.
The most frustrating part for me is that for our hardware enthusiast hobby that, we've enjoyed for our entire adult lives, is that all of this is totally valid.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I didn't review this stuff for a living, would I bother upgrading my PC if something wasn't broken? And if I didn't care about competitive play, would I just use a streaming service like GeForce Now or Shadow? So, I don't know. It's something I've been reflecting on a lot because I sit in writers' meeting, right? And, on the one hand, it's fun for us to joke about doing like a tech yacht or whatever, just for the spectacle of it. It's fun, right? And it's cool. It's cool to look at. It's cool to dream about. And it's cool to live that dream. And that's awesome. And, all of that stuff, right? Like it's cool, right? But, at what makes us, relatable, what makes it fun to watch us do that wild stuff is that we also talk about the things that, people can actually afford. But I don't, and so people will be pitching things in writers' meeting and I'm just like, yeah, no, we can't even talk about that. We can't show that. And the thing is, like, we get backlash for watching me put cool tech in my McMansion. We get backlash for saying, hey, buying a console is a valid option. We get backlash, and we have always, but it's been more lately, which is bizarre, for focusing on secondhand tech in videos like our PlayStation Killer series. And that one that I did, I had someone explain to me why that video didn't resonate with people. The one where I was like, only you can fix GPU pricing. And I went out and did like a mini Scrapyard Wars where I bought a 3080 for a great price. And it was because people don't want to be blamed. Gamers didn't want to be blamed for buying the stuff anyway.
Sure.
And I'm kind of like, okay, but like,
you're buying $7,000 5090s.
What am I supposed to do? It's really weird to have people be angry at the messenger in these cases. It's like, we're going to continue to highlight affordable stuff whenever we get the chance. I can't cover products that don't exist. People ask me, why don't you do $500 build guides anymore? Like every few months, why don't you do like an affordable build guides? Because
what are you going to put in it?
I can't cover stuff that doesn't exist. AMD hasn't launched a Ryzen 3 in 2 full desktop generations now. And that includes mid-cycle X3D refreshes.
Yeah, the companies don't really care about that.
NVIDIA,
like at all,
simply no longer makes a 50 class GPU on the desktop. They just don't have one. I also, this is another one. I also get asked, hey, Linus, why aren't you doing more to pressure these companies to make stuff more affordable? And the answer to that is, guys, you watch WAN Show every week. You tune into LTT a few times a week and you care what I have to say, maybe. Maybe you don't. Maybe you hate watch. I don't know. But the point is that you're engaged. Do you think Lisa Sue watches WAN Show?
Well, that's not what they're not trying to say. I think they're trying to say, like, why don't you talk to them directly?
No, so it doesn't matter. My point is just that, do you think Lisa Sue gives two shits what I think?
Yeah.
No. Do you think Jensen Huang cares? Do you think he knows my name?
They're analyzing where they're making money, and they're doing that.
They are solely beholden to their shareholders, and I own no stock in any of their companies because, duh, I shouldn't. So, that was the spiel. What do we do? What do we do? We can't just keep reviewing hardware that people can't afford. We can't keep just building projects that no one could hope to replicate ever. What's the answer here? Can you believe that Apple is now the savior of the affordable desktop PC?
It's weird.
What
a lot of talk going around about Mac Minis. A lot. I literally hear about Mac Minis at least multiple times a week. Yeah.
Apple!
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
So you got nothing then? That's what you're saying. It's weird. Thank you, Luke. That's really helpful.
I don't have anything. I don't think, there's people in the comments saying do retro stuff. There's a dot here on doing retro stuff. I don't think that's going to work, personally. I think you can do it every now and then. I don't think you can pivot the channel to it. There's thoughts about doing software content. Again, I think you can do it every now and then. I strongly don't believe you can pivot the channel to it.
Nerdle brings up a really interesting point. Linus, I'd be more concerned if views were going way down with the hate. But if it's consistent views, why are we focusing on the hate more? I'm not talking about hate. I'm talking about something way more dangerous, and that's apathy.
Yeah.
And the reason that views aren't going down is because for all the, ripping on them that I do and, all the banter that we have in the office, I have a world-class team.
Yeah.
We work...
pee on the floor.
We work...
Pee on the floor!
Okay, that's an internal meme. Don't worry about it.
I will never stop.
The point is,
I almost got him.
We work really hard. We work really hard to upload videos that are engaging for our audience. And the reason that views are the way that they are, hold on, title contains, hold on, I'm doing a little filter here. The reason that views haven't fallen is because we're doing that. We are actively working against a tide that you guys might not see in our analytics, but we do. If we just uploaded a video unboxing a motherboard, right? Like we might have 10 years ago.
Oof.
We'd be lucky to get 50,000 views on it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The apathy toward just like DIY computer hardware. We have to come up with an angle. Like there was one recently that just bombed, and we were talking about it on WAN Show, and you guys rightly were like, Linus, you totally missed the mark on this. You should have done $50 versus $50,000 for that format. And it was the home theater one. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like you need a catch, you need a hook, you need a format, you need to do so much more than just review this product like we used to. Like look at this. Things are so much work now. We literally had to paint Elijah's house to execute this video. That would have been the kind of like wild, huge project that we would do once a quarter back in the day. The 50 series reviews were thick in terms of the effort that went into them. This controller roundup, we had David working for at least an entire week dedicated to this. That is not a thing that used to happen for just an upload.
Also, Antoine Lesselab's work. There was.
Oh yeah, multiple people worked for a long time on this. The editors did such a great job. I feel terrible because I forget who it was, but boy, did they ever do a bang up job of all of the cool like graphics and stuff. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Here we go. No. There we go. Like this kind of stuff is so cool. That adds so much to the video. It is so much, Robert, there we go. It is so much more work now to get those views compared to, and I'm not complaining. I'm not saying we shouldn't have to work. We shouldn't have to compete. We should have to work. We should have to compete. I embrace competition because I think it makes the content, I think it makes the entire space better for people who care and for people who are interested in it. But what I'm saying is it's not about, it's not hate.
Competing to make better content. It's like competing against a fading industry.
Yeah.
Which that's no longer fun or cool.
Yeah.